Number 3, Jony Perez. How my iPhone saved my life. How my iPhone saved my life. Jony Perez.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This device I'm holding in my hand, to many people, it's a cellular phone. To most, it's also a mini computer that you can run over 250,000 apps. But to me, this device, it's a lifesaver. I'll explain why. Some time ago, I was going on a business trip, and I was able to research and book my flight and hotel. The day of the trip comes, I head over to the airport, I go to checkout, I board the airplane, and we take off without a hitch. About 15 minutes after we had reached cruising altitude, the airplane reaches turbulence, and the airplane began to shake. And it shook more abruptly, to the point that the oxygen masks came down from the compartment above. This went on for about 2 minutes, until the stewardess gets on the loudspeaker and says that the airplane is flying on automatic pilot mode, because both pilots had received severe head concussions. She pleaded if there's anyone on board that could help in this very difficult time. I said to myself, I slept at the Holiday Inn Express last night. And I have an iPhone 4. So I quickly jumped out of my seat and I said, I am your man. And I ran over to the cockpit, where she let me in. When she lets me in, the cockpit is pitch black. So I got my iPhone and I turned on this app. And with it, well, I was able to locate that captain's chair, where I took him and I sat on the ground and I sat down. I was also able to turn the lights on the airplane. The next thing I did was I wanted to check my orientation to see if the airplane was level. So I checked the controls, and those were busted. They were spinning like that. So I figured, you know what? Let me get my iPhone again. And I took out this app. It's a handyman's level. I put it on the dashboard, and with it, I was able to level the airplane. I then followed by downloading very quickly a free app of a flight simulator. With it, I was able to level the airplane, bring it up to cruising altitude. We were having a party. We were so excited. Yes, you did it. That lasted for about 10 minutes because, again, we reached turbulence. And the last thing I remember is I saw a very bright light and I blacked out. What happens next is something that I'm still trying to explain to myself. I remember being woken up. Mister, you're next in line. You're next in line. And I get up, I'm a little bit dazed, and I look up and I see this fence. And there was a gentleman. He had thin white hair and an off-white robe. He also had a very large ring that said iced tea. And a bling, 50 cents. On his left hand, he had very large keys. And he had an iPad too on the podium. I got up and asked him, who are you? He says, I am the guardian of heaven. Can you please give me your name so that I can Google it? And with that information, I'm going to determine if you're going to heaven or hell. I gave him my name. He Googled it with his iPad. And as he was looking for the information, I kept looking over the fence, where I saw hundreds of beautiful women, like the ones in the 3 paintings, the 3 Graces by Michelangelo. And I approached the guardian. I said, Guardian, am I going to get my fair share of those when I go to heaven? And he says to me, are you a Christian? And I get very excited. I said, well, yes, I am a Christian. And he said to me, I'm sorry, those are not reserved for Christians. During all that, I noticed that he kept looking into my left hand, where I held my iPhone. He says to me, you know, Jony, I'm going to make you a deal. I'm going to send you back down to Earth if you let me have your iPhone 4. Yes. I said to myself, darn it, I still have another 15 months contract with AT&T. But I weighed my options, and I agreed with the guardian. He said, "Come here, my son." He put his hand on my head, and again I saw a very bright light, and I blacked out. The next thing I remember is I'm listening to the sound of waves, and the ocean, and the rain. I look up, I open my eyes, and there was my iPhone. So you see, my friends, to most people this is a phone, but to me this is also a lifesaver. Mr. Toastmaster.